What's going on, fam? So we've got a great video for you today. How hard do I push for the sale? So we heard this on one of our client coaching calls the other week, and actually a couple days ago. And I wanted to share this with you because this is a common thing, and I used to actually ask myself this as well. So before we dive into this, do us a huge favor, watching this on YouTube, sub to the channel, share the video from wherever. So this way we can expand the reach. I do these videos for free. All I ask is that we help as many people as possible. So hit the like button, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you watch this on Facebook Live, then give us a thumbs up. Help us expand the reach. So we're going to get into what is too much when pushing for the sale, right? What's the difference between hard closing and challenging somebody to move past that comfort zone or that discomfort, right? So we're going to talk about that, and really the only two elements that matter as a sales pro with you taking sales calls, or if you're a solopreneur, right, and you own the business and you're just starting out and you're selling your own product, right? So at the end of this video, guys, drop below the one key takeaway you took from this so I can see that you're going to actually implement, right? I want to be able to see this. We do this too much where, you know, somebody will buy something from us, but they don't actually implement, and then they don't see results. It might sound like common sense, but you'd be surprised that common theme that we see happening. So just let me know down below your number one takeaway. I got my notes over here, so this way we can move through this video fairly quickly. We've got about 10 minutes, so this will be a quick one for you. But let's dive into the key components here. So number one, is your product right? This is always the initial mental roadblock, okay? Is my product right? So you might be saying to yourself right now, Rob, I only want to bring on my most ideal client, so I'm only going to sell this to my most ideal client, whatever your product or service is, right? And that's typically the first thing we hear. I'm only going to bring on my most ideal client, so that's why I didn't sell to them. But this is a huge mental roadblock where you're not actually signing up your ideal client, you're turning away more people that you could actually make an impact with that would eventually either praise your company, product, service, or you, or they would upsell into your next thing. Okay, and here's why. You need to focus on one thing. Okay? Not their needs, not all the products and services that you offer. None of that's actually relevant right now. You need to focus on one thing, which is impact. Okay? Now let me explain why. A lot of the time, the confidence isn't there to sell the product or service that you have. Okay? That's typically what happens because you're hearing that the person in front of you doesn't need everything you have to offer. That's typically the initial mental roadblock. All right, but the way we need to be looking at this is in the sense of, can we help them create a degree of change? All right, so you should never feel bad about selling your high ticket item, product, service, or whatever. Maybe it's not high ticket. You should never feel bad about selling that thing for thousands of dollars to somebody that you're only going to help them with one thing. And the reason why is because that one degree of change for them not only shifts their mindset, which helps them for years and years and years down the road, right, which that alone is worth thousands of dollars, okay, but at the same time, that one thing you help them with, they're also able to continue to refine every month. What you're doing isn't a 1 month thing, you're creating long-term change. So the big problem with this is that people are seeing their impact as too small, because let's say that you're a lead gen company. All right, and let's say the only thing that you're helping them with is they generated an extra 5 appointments per week, right? And that may not seem like a lot of impact for you in your eyes, because in your eyes you want to help somebody generate 20, 50, 100 extra appointments per week. But what ends up happening is if they're only generating 5 appointments per week, that's 5 appointments times 4 weeks, okay, because there's 4 weeks in a month. So that's now 20 appointments times 12. Okay, now I'm horrible at math, but just for the sake of people watching this video, I'm going to use a calculator. So that's 240 appointments a year times, let's say they're not great at closing deals, okay? So let's just say that they only do a 10% close rate because they just are not good at closing deals. So times 10%, so you're looking at 24 additional clients per year, okay? times, let's say that they're only selling a $3,000 whatever. Okay, so 24 times 3,000, you would just help them make an extra $72,000 by just simply helping them generate an extra 5 appointments per week. So if you don't think your $3,000 program, or even your $10,000 program, or your $20,000 program, shit, even $50,000 program is worth $72,000, then that's not a them thing, that's a you thing. Okay, so what you need to do is get past this initial mental roadblock of, is my thing, my product or service, a great fit for this prospect, and does it make them my ideal client? Are they my ideal client? If you can help them with 1 degree of change, even if it's something as small as an extra 5 appointments per week, I mean, you're talking about an extra few $100,000 over the span of a year or two. Okay, so it doesn't matter what else you have to offer. It doesn't matter what else they need help with. That's all irrelevant. The only thing that matters is, can you create that impact, 1 degree of change? It doesn't matter how big or small it seems right now in this moment. It has compounded effect. Okay, compounded is things stacking on top of each other. So that's the first thing you need to get over before you even get into how hard you push for the sale. You need to get over this mental roadblock of, is my product right? Are they my most ideal client? Typically, they usually are. If they're on the phone with you, you've had an initial conversation of some kind, odds are they are your ideal client. Okay? They don't need to be your ideal client for their entire full spectrum of everything you have to offer. You need to be able to create 1 degree of change. If you can, they are your ideal client. Okay? So you need to go in with that mindset of full scent. Okay? That's going to help your efforts for when you push for the sale, which we'll get into here at the end. Next is, let's get into the 2 rules of mindset. So as a sales pro, there's a 2-rule mindset. Okay? And being a sales pro, it's important to understand, especially as a solopreneur, it's actually harder as a solopreneur because your mind is so spread amongst all the things you have to do as a business owner because you're thinking of so many things. But when you're a sales pro, your only obligation basically in life while you're on the company's time is to close new revenue. That's your only obligation for existence during those work hours. Okay? Everything else gets left at the door. That's what makes you a sales pro. You've got to be a little selfish, okay, with your time, with your mindset, okay, what you let in here. The only things you need to let in here are all the positive stuff that gets you to that next level and allows you to have space to think, okay, about what your current objective is, which is new revenue. So you only have 2 rules as a sales pro in that mindset, okay? Rule number 1 is, can you serve the client? Okay, and we just discussed this, all right? Your definition of serve needs to change to not, can we help them with everything? It needs to change to, can we help them create 1 degree of change to have some level of impact? Okay, because as you've seen here, even just something as simple as 5 appointments, that's not 5 appointments per week. That's $72,000. And that's if they suck at sales. And when I say suck, I mean like 10%. That's bad. Okay? So if you're at 10%, don't worry. We can help you with that. Just shoot us an email, support@thesalesagency.com. But if this number doubled to 20%, you're looking at helping them do almost an extra $150,000 in a year with 5 extra appointments per week. So now that you understand, can you help serve them, and you've gotten that out of the way, number 2, which is your second rule, number 2 is going to be, go over here real quick. So number 2 is going to be at all costs. So what this means is get the deal at all costs. Now, a lot of people might hear that and think, whoa, you're going to bring on bad clients that way. All right, here's the thing. This rule of thumb creates win-win situations. When you have the ability to understand you are serving your client by creating that 1 degree of change, then there's absolutely no reason, 0 reason, why you should not do everything in your physical human power to get that deal at all costs. Because if you don't, You are choosing not to serve that client. That's not the client saying no to you. That's you choosing not to serve the client if you don't win that deal at all costs. And secondly, if you do not get the client at all costs, here's what's going to happen. That prospect that could have been your client is going to sign up with somebody else. It's not a matter of are they going to sign up. It's a matter of they are going to sign up with somebody else. Okay? And if that person that closed them because they knew how hard to push for the sale, because they understood these concepts, if they go into the wrong program, they have poor results and they waste their money, that's not their fault for saying no to you. That's your fault for not being able to understand how to influence them to say yes. Okay? These are the two rules in sales. All right? It's so important to understand that as a sales pro, you need to take your business personally, your book of business, that's personal to you. You need to be selfish about it. Take it personally. Okay? And you need to make sure that you stay committed to the client. Take it personally and take full responsibility for the end result. So I'm going to say that again so you can write it down if you're a solopreneur or sales pro or you're a business owner with a sales team. The team and you as a sales pro, you need to take your business personally and take full responsibility of the end result. If this person signs up with somebody else and they end up wasting their money, that's not their fault, that's your fault. Okay? And that's only going to happen if you do not follow this two-rule mindset. Can you serve them, which again, I'm going to circle this back around, means creating the impact, right? Once you know you can create that 1 degree of change, that 1 degree of impact, then you need to win the deal at all costs. Because if not, and they throw their money away with somebody else that knew how hard to push, and they waste their money, that's on you, not on them. So this is a totally different mindset. This comes down to ownership is leadership. Okay? When you take full responsibility for the end result, you're going to start taking the conversation, it's going to be more important to you. Okay? So this is what you want to look at there. Now let's talk about pushing too hard. Okay, we got a couple minutes left here, and I want to make sure we can get to the main point of this video, which is how hard is too hard to push for the sale before, the prospect will have buyer's remorse. Okay? Because that'll happen. If you force a sale that shouldn't be made, then your prospect's going to have buyer's remorse, especially if your expectations, the way you set those up, are mediocre or poor. Then you will for sure get some type of refund, chargeback, something's going to happen. Or you're just going to have a really bad client that's going to affect the rest of your client base. Okay? So it's important to make sure if you do this that you understand those components as well. We're not going to deep dive those today, but if you have any questions about setting expectations, you don't feel like that's as fluent as it could be, and maybe that's why your clients are not as great as they could be, even though you know they're a great client, they're not delivering the best experience, then just shoot us an email, support@thesalesagency.com. We can help you kind of unpack that situation. So there's a big difference between hard closing, I'll put this over here, which we just discussed, and challenging their discomfort. Okay? So let me give you a real life example of this right now. We just bought into a $20,000 mentorship ourselves a couple days ago for YouTube ads. Okay? So this right here, I'm going to give you a real life example from me because we are still practicing what we preach. We invest in coach and mentors around $65,000 a year or so to get great at different things. Okay? If you're looking for somebody to do that for you in sales development, then that's why you would invest with us. But for us, we're looking to get great at other things like YouTube ads, Facebook ads, things of that nature. So we went and invested another $20,000 into another program. Now, initially I told the guy no, all right, whenever I was on the call with them. Now, the reason why I said no is because we're currently in the process of bringing on more sales reps to be able to take an influx of calls because, we spend, easy multiple 5 figures a month on ad spend. So for us, we can't take on more traffic right now until we have somebody to take the calls, especially if our cost for that traffic is lower than our current cost for traffic. Because that means if we spend more, we're going to see way more leads come through, way more traffic. So for me, that was my biggest thing. We need at least 4 more weeks to do that. So I didn't feel comfortable with getting started because of that specific thing. Now, long story short, I ended up getting an extra month tacked on for doing this program, so it made sense for me because we can get started with like the fundamental elements, basically learning the language of YouTube ads, while not really having to worry so much about driving traffic to a team that can't handle that much traffic yet. Okay, while we bring on some new team members. So for us, the discomfort was time. We just needed about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So our discomfort was time. Now, because I was on the other side of great sales rep, he was able to break that down, dissect it, and really find out, oh, so it's just really a time thing. Like if we scheduled a follow-up in 3 weeks, which by the way, he did an amazing job, like pre-framing, scheduling the follow-up, so I was able to like feel more comfortable. And then he went back in for the close, right? Because he went to go challenge my discomfort. So he found out that it was just time, and then he was able to accommodate this thing. All right? So what happens is when you push hard for the sale and you know you can serve the client, then you need to go in and be able to challenge their main discomfort. Okay? If that's money, then there's a handful of ways to do that with different types of question stacking, to be able to like break down how you could handle the finance piece of that conversation, whether that be a payment plan, a pay in full with credit, bridge funding if you're not going to use just credit card stacking. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to handle that. But you want to make sure that you can isolate whatever that discomfort is. Because that doesn't mean that they can't do it. It just means that they feel a little uncomfortable doing it. Okay, so I'm going to say that again in case you want to write it down, or you could replay this video. But it's not that they can't do it. It's that they just feel uncomfortable doing it. Okay? So it's okay to push a little harder when you're challenging them to be able to understand and acknowledge, be aware that it's just uncomfortable. It's not that they can't. Does that make sense? So, by the way, if you guys are getting value out of this, just drop down below your main takeaway of this video so far. I would love to hear your takeaway from this so you can actually implement. But when it comes to pushing hard for the sale, guys, just to wrap this up for you here, what's really important is to make sure, can you create impact for the prospect? And that doesn't mean your full suite of what you offer. That means, can you create 1 degree of change? Even that seems as small right now as 5 appointments per week, which we just discussed is anywhere from $72,000 to an extra $150,000 per year in sales. Okay? Can you create the impact, whether it's 1 degree of change or not? And then, are you ready to win the deal at all costs? To be creative, play in the gray a little bit. Okay? As long as you're staying within company rules, right? Play in the gray a little bit. I've been a top performer, guys, in multiple industries in sales, whether it's door-to-door, business to consumer, or business to business, selling for billion-dollar corporations. I can tell you right now, nobody's going to care if you play in the gray as long as your clients are getting served in a way that meets their expectations, which you should have properly set on the sales call. All right, do what you need to do to get the sale at all costs in a way that does not jeopardize the company, reflects the company in the right light, and then also sets the right expectations for the prospect, okay, coming on. And then you can play in the gray a little bit, which means that you can kind of do some different things and get creative, okay? And then from there, if for whatever reason they want to completely move forward just yet because they feel like they can't do it, isolate the discomfort and then challenge it and help them become more aware of the fact that it's not that they can't, it just feels uncomfortable to do it. Okay, once you move past that mindset barrier, you're in a great spot to get the sale. So, hope this video was helpful for you guys, talking about how hard do I push for the sale. I wanted to give you some context behind what it looks like before you actually start pushing for the sale. Again, if you found this video super helpful, give us a like, give us a heart, or a thumbs up, or whatever, depending on where you're watching this, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video, so we can help more people, okay? I have to jump off now, but if you guys have any questions, drop them below. And then also let me know your #1 takeaway from this video so I can see you're actually going to implement. All right, and I'll drop back in and respond to the comments later on as the video is being replayed. So appreciate y'all. Again, if you need help crushing your sales process or helping develop your sales teams, shoot us an email, support@thesalesagency.com, and we'll help you be able to unpack what's going on and see if we can lend some advice. All right, so I'll catch you guys in the next video.